Good morning. I'm Senator Tanya Vyhovsky, and I represent the Chittenden Central District. I'm a clinical social worker. I'm a person who has been affected by a violent life sentence eligible crime, and I'm also a person who believes in hope, who believes in healing, and that no person is irredeemable no matter what they have done. Nobody should be cast aside forever based on one instant of their lives. I believe that with hope, support, and community, all human beings are capable of change, growth, and healing. As a person who believes in the incredible transformative power of people, the very idea of locking someone up and throwing away the key flies in the face of my values and beliefs. And as it turns out, it is also not supported by the data, the science, or the outcomes. What hope can you have when you have been told and shown that the world around you believes there is no hope for you? What is the point of even trying? Policies that do this not only squash the fires of hope, but they also fail to acknowledge the very real harm done by our society every day to the very people that are most likely to be given these sentences. As expected, sentencing, like our entire criminal legal system, is both racially and economically biased, perpetuating deeply entrenched systems of marginalization and oppression. Let us take a moment to ask ourselves, what is incarceration for? Probably some different things have come to mind: punishment, accountability, rehabilitation, crime deterrence, healing for the victim, and public safety. The problem is, incarceration doesn't really provide us with these things. It is astronomically expensive and inhumane as we have structured it in the United States. The Department of Justice has shown that the length of a sentence has very little, if any, impact on crime deterrence, and that imprisonment makes people more likely, not less likely, to recidivate. If incarcerating people for long sentences were going to make the United States safe, we would be one of the safest countries in the world. After all, as of January 2024, the United States had the 5th highest per capita rate of imprisonment in the world. And yet, in the 2023 Global Peace Index ratings, we are, of the 163 nations ranked, the United States came in at 131. Not 5th. We fell again from 129th in 2022, as we have every year since 2016. To be in the top 5 for the rate of incarcerated people and in the bottom 5th for safety is a clear indicator that our over-reliance on imprisoning people is not keeping anyone safe. Meanwhile, some of the safest countries in the world have incarceration rates more than 10 times less than the United States. The United States incarcerates 531 per 100,000 people and ranks 131st in overall safety, whereas the safest country in the world, Iceland, incarcerates only 39 people per 100,000. Denmark, the second safest, only 71. Ireland, the third safest, only 76. In fact, only 3 of the top 10 safest countries incarcerate more than 100 people per 100,000, and none of them reach 200, let alone 531. Let's talk about accountability, and let's talk about victims. When someone goes to prison, they are locked away from humanity and may never face the person or people they have harmed. Their long carceral sentence does not make the victim whole again. In many cases, nothing truly can. And the need being met is a short-term need for revenge, not accountability. When I was in college, one of my good friends was murdered. 5 years later, the perpetrator was caught and a trial began. A trial where the friends and family of Rebecca were not at the center, but the state was. In fact, when I was called to testify and I told the prosecutor that I couldn't, it would be too painful, I was met with the power of the state. I was told that if I did not testify, I would be subpoenaed, and if I did not show up, I would be arrested and held in contempt of court. You see, the state was not interested in what I needed as the victim. They were only interested in securing their conviction. A conviction that did not bring back my friend or heal the trauma of her murder. But what I needed could have been much better met through a process of restorative and parallel justice. I needed to know why this had happened. I needed to establish my own safety in the world again, and I needed to regain and maintain the control over my life that I had worked hard to get back in the 5 years that it took the state to charge their crime. Now, I recognize in some instances, people are at a point where they are not safe to be with people and in society. And there may be a legitimate reason that they need to be separated and supported to build the tools and skills so that they can be safe in their society, in their community. And I believe that everyone is capable of doing this if they are provided tools and support. Perhaps not everyone will, even with the best conditions, but we are not even trying. When we look at someone and we say, through our action of putting them in a cage and throwing away the key, we say they are less than human, that they are not capable of healing, and we are certainly not giving them any tools to get better. The statistics in our Vermont carceral system point to huge systemic problems. 95% of those charged with a crime live in poverty. 50% have opioid use disorder. 70% a substance use disorder. And in the United States, the carceral system is the largest provider of mental health care. And yet, our own Department of Corrections and Department of State's attorneys have acknowledged that the carceral system is the very worst place to heal from trauma, which is the single most predictive factor in both mental health struggles and substance use disorder. What we're doing simply isn't working. It costs nearly $100,000 to incarcerate a person in the state of Vermont. Over a lifetime, this is millions of dollars spent crushing hope. Hope for the individual and hope for our larger community. What could these millions be better spent doing if we truly wanted public safety? The very social services that we lack, and why we are told that a model like a Norway model would never work here. The costs of lengthy terms of incarceration and life sentences, however, are not just monetary. They are very real human costs, and we all bear the burden of both the economic and human cost every day. And yet this year, in a fog of cries about public safety, instead of looking to transformative change, community investment, and following the data, we are going backwards in a proven to fail war on crime era policies of locking more people up. Policies that will cost more on every front, both in real dollars and human impact, instead of investing in the upstream economic, social, and human factors that would actually make us all safer. Last year, I introduced a bill that I hoped would be a no-brainer for everyone. S-155 would have done 3 important things, and it would have helped Vermont to reduce its prison population. It would have ended life without parole as a sentencing option. It would have provided an expansion of compassionate release to those who are terminally ill, and it would have enacted second look policy allowing for sentences to be adjusted based on criteria and a petition from the person who was sentenced. This policy was not a guarantee of release, but it established the right for someone who has been incarcerated to have their sentence reevaluated and potentially adjusted based on the healing work and change they had accomplished. We know that as people age, they naturally desist from violent crime, and that a person is highly unlikely to heal and build the tools they need to be in our society if there is no hope. But we currently keep them locked up, where the state is responsible for providing expensive elderly health care because our incarcerated population is not eligible for Medicaid. Keeping people locked up is not just ineffective and cruel, it is expensive. I'm not naive enough to think that every person will transform themselves and will heal from their trauma and will work towards restoring the harm that they have done. Some may stay stuck in patterns of harm and violence, but I know that many will not. If given the tools, the support, and the hope that they need to do the hard work, I know in my heart, and the statistics show that I'm right, what we are doing is not working. Our sentencing practices and overall corrections system is doing more harm to everyone, both the incarcerated and the victims of crime. This is a first step towards a different possibility in our corrections system, one that is grounded in hope and resiliency. As a society, we want to believe that our criminal justice system is meant to rehabilitate. I could spend all day talking about whether that is the true purpose of our system, but that's not why we're here. What I will say is that the often stated purpose of the system we are failing at. Let us for a moment accept that it can be a goal to work towards. We can build a system that is in fact just, humane, restorative, and rehabilitative. We can do better, and we must. We can ground our system in hope and not despair. If we want to do that, then we must end life without parole and long sentences without any possibility of review. We know that these practices are not effective deterrents, and we know that all they do is put up a front that we truly do not believe that rehabilitation is possible, that some people are beyond redemption, beyond the capacity for growth and transformation. It says that for those people, that is not what our system is for. To move forward, these practices must be eliminated. We must take this first step at putting our policy in line with the idea that all people are worthy of a chance to be redeemed, to heal and to repair any harm that they have done. That all people are worthy of hope for the future. So let us move forward together and build that system. Thank you.